streaming live from Zoom to Facebook, so excuse the first couple of minutes where it's just me looking a bit baffled. But welcome to this special gathering of contributors to, oh, can we see it? This book, 2020 Vision, Unbound Perspectives from a Year Like No Other, which was our first ever collaborative book through the Unbound Press. Oh my goodness, and Diana is coming on. Yay! Yay, Diana, you made it. We're streaming live right now. We were saying before, what I was saying before, whenever we're doing this kind of thing, like particularly when there's, you know, different people involved and there's a group of us coming together, it helps that everything I do is like comes under the Unbound banner, because if anything goes wrong, it's all part of the experience and we can just say it's Unbound. So very excited to be here today to celebrate this book, which came out on February the 25th, and each of you wrote your pieces back in November 2020, which, like, February feels like a lifetime ago. November 2020 feels, I don't know. It definitely feels like a lot has changed in the meantime. And we were meant to do this gathering in March, but we had to postpone it. And it actually feels perfect to be coming together now after this period of time to reflect on last year and how you're feeling about the pieces that you've written, that you wrote for 2020 Vision. So I'm sure things have shifted for each of us in the meantime. Collectively and also individually, I think, I don't know anybody who's not going through huge transformation at the moment. So I'm gonna introduce each of you, or welcome each of you, and just invite you to introduce yourself, actually, so it's not just me blabbering on. So Brea Hart, would you like to go first and just briefly introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about what your piece was about? If you can remember. Like I did say, I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. You could just speak very generally to that.
Yeah. So hi, yeah, I'm Brea Hart, and I am in beautiful rural West Wales, and I'm telling you that because actually, largely my piece was about being in this space, and how, on the one hand, how very safe it felt, but on the other hand, being really aware at a very deep energetic level of what was going on collectively. So yeah, and I also spoke, sort of the opening of the piece was about speaking about the book that I'm currently writing, Menopause Wisdoms, and it was in retreat with Nicola and some other magical unbound women, and there was a moment when next door to us there was a room full of aged suited men in lines, and I mean, they, you know, they may be lovely people, I don't know, but I just had this really strong feeling of the patriarchy, and it was a starting point of that year. I mean, it was the beginning of that year, wasn't it? It was
February.
Yeah, February. Yeah. So now I'm blathering on as well. So yeah,
Let's
I
just
will
give ourselves,
read my piece later.
Let's just give ourselves permission to blather on, I think. Here's to blathering women, that's what I say. Thanks, Brea. And just to say, actually, your piece in 2020 Vision, it comes under the name of Angie Northwood, because you changed your name, like, since you, well, I guess in the process, was that around the time you were writing the piece? I can't remember now.
No, it happened later. That happened leading up to my 60th birthday. And again, it was very linked in the disintegration that we've been witnessing and part of, the old structures and systems falling away, and something just popped in. I mean, I'd wanted to change my name for a long time, but it was reaching 60. It just seemed like a really important choice to make and to go with. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Fantastic.
letting go of the name that I had been given by my family, which was lovely, but it no longer suited me. It no longer resonated with me. And my married name, I'd taken the surname because I wanted to. It was my choice, but actually that's not who I am anymore either. So a new name needed to be birthed.
Amazing. Really powerful. Thank you, Brea. Look forward to hearing you read part of your piece a bit later. Dino, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello.
Who are you? Where are you?
Who am I? Now, this is a big question. I really enjoyed contributing to the 2020, and I've just reread what I wrote, and I realize now that my book that was kind of a seed of the book that I'm writing now. But
amazing,
and because I'm really want people to realize that we really must respect the earth, the planet, and that we've got. So my piece was called Lines of Desire, because it's desire that creates all the consumption, and it's just looking at that. There's nothing wrong with that, but why do we have to use up so much to feed ourselves in these ways? So just looking at that, and because everybody wants everything to go back to normal and to the same pace of kind of what to me is like an unconsciousness, and I question that. Who wants that normal? It was getting out of hand anyway. Why do we want to go back to it? So that's something I don't understand, and my piece is about, like, let's just slow down and ask a question around that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, and interesting timing, like certainly here in the UK, where things are starting to open up, and there is that, like, feels like a very strong desire to get back to normal. And when you're talking about consumption there, like, I saw something today about how it's come out that Amazon are like just what are they doing, just throwing away like so much stuff, just wasting it from their warehouses. It's just shocking, the amount. I can't remember what the amount was. It was just horrendous.
I don't think the world should be run on economic grounds. No. I really don't. I think we're heading into a mass extinction of everything because of that, and I just think it's just too bad. We're the people that can stop it, so what the fuck are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, love that. Well, hopefully hear a piece or part of your piece a bit later as well. Thanks, Dino. Thank you. Holly, good to see you. Welcome.
Thanks, Nicola. So yeah, I'm calling in from Wales as well, and my piece is called A Hope for Humanity, and it kind of ties in with Dine actually, because I used to be an engineer. I call myself a recovering engineer now because I had too much heart to kind of be that logical. And yeah, I kind of just looked at, I got into engineering because I wanted to make the world more sustainable. And I just realized the way things were being done didn't work, and thought, well, how do we fix this? And I kind of had this really deep belief that the reason we are doing all of these awful things is because we're living in separation. We've got so many unhealed wounds. And so that's kind of what my piece is about. That's what my work is about. And yeah, when I came to write this piece, it's not what I planned to write. And then I sat down and I thought, I'm going to talk about 2020. I'm going to talk about how great this has been, how this is a lesson for how we move forward in a different way, and nothing. And I think it must have been about 11 o'clock at night. And I said, I used your question, Nicola, of, well, what wants to come through? And what came through was one of my deep core wounds about being sexually abused. And it's a very difficult conversation for a lot of people to hear and for a lot of us to talk about. And I remember at the time thinking, oh my gosh, this has nothing to do with 2020. And after we did our Instagram live, I suddenly thought, had the moment of epiphany of, oh wow, this is just another thing that's coming up to the surface to be healed this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so powerful, Holly. And how do you feel now? You know, it's been out in the world for a period of months now. How is that for you?
It's been emotional, but also liberating, very, very liberating, and kind of emotional because there's sort of a looking back at how much I was shaming myself and all the places in myself where I was still hiding. And you know, once you put something out there like this, it's like, whew, you feel it all coming back in. So it's been an incredible process for me for that. And I think I said in my piece, this is kind of my ritual for restoring myself. And it has definitely been that intention has been so fulfilled. It's been amazing.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Forward, you're going to be sharing a piece as well, which I'm excited about. Thank you. Mariah, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. My birthday last October, it just came to me, okay, I'm going to be a published author by my next birthday. So that was literally, I think, 3 weeks before you set the challenge. So I think we had a week to write it, and I'd left it like I usually do to the last minute, and I had an hour before I needed to submit it. And I also used the prompt that you often give us, which is, look at what wants to be expressed through me right now. So literally that's what came out. And then in hindsight, I look back on it and thought, well, actually it was mostly about me rather than, you know, I was very lucky in many ways. I didn't lose close members of the family or close friends to COVID or anything like that. But for me, it was the shock of almost like feeling like a prisoner in my own home, actually. Yeah, it did feel like a shock, seeing the streets completely empty. I mean, I don't live in the urban countryside. I live by the beach in West Wittering in West Sussex. So it's not as if I'm in a big city, but it just felt very strange not being able to see my children. I mean, and they're adults, they're young adults, they're in their 20s, so they're not babies. But the shock of loss of freedom, because freedom is one of my core values. So having that taken away was quite shocking. And then the revelation really was the fact that actually I'd been distracting myself a lot by going out instead of actually staying at home and getting on with some work and writing specifically. So it was that's what I learned. I remembered that actually I am okay with structure and I can get stuff done, and staying in one place to do it. I don't have to go out all over the place to write. And you know, most of the time I was gazing out of the window or chatting or, you know, whatever distraction. So actually I got a lot of stuff done. A lot of the creative projects that I hadn't got around to doing I actually got done. Nothing got done in the house, but a lot got done here. And then I think it was that week as well that I signed a contract for my book. So it all happened in the same week. I can't remember exactly the sequence, but that's when I signed up as an author, which I just love being in this community. So yeah.
And the book is coming towards completion at the moment.
It is, but yes, it is. And I laugh because I had some news today. I know some of you know that I've been waiting for surgery, and I thought, oh God, it's going to be ages. But actually, I got a phone call today saying it's 3.5 weeks' time. So, so yeah, that's going to put, and it's about 4 days before the final manuscript was due. So we're going to have a chat about that and what the implications are.
Yeah.
But of course, the irony is that decision to be a published author before my next birthday, I realized a few months ago, actually, I've done that.
Yeah, exactly, with 2020 Vision.
So this is, yeah, so that's, yeah, this is the next piece.
It's so interesting, isn't it? How sometimes we set an intention and we have this clear idea of how it's going to manifest, and we don't notice sometimes that it's actually happened already.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this other intention I set for my surgery, you know, it looked as though it was going to be years with the way things are, or I'd have to pay £14,000 and still have to wait a year. But in fact, it's earlier than my intention, and I don't have to pay. I literally intuitively found my way to someone who gave me a name, who gave me authorization.
Magical.
Just unbelievable. Yeah, I'm still in shock, really.
Yeah, well, go you.
The intention works so well.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, so it is magical.
It is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mariah. Good to have you here. I'm glad you could join us. Natalie.
Hey.
Hello. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. Really pleased to be here. And yeah, it's fascinating, like you said, to think back to February. That does seem like an age away, but to November. And I remember this was like a beautiful distraction for me, because I was so tempted to come in and join the challenge, but I was also very much deep in the writing of the book, which came to you yesterday or Monday. So yeah, it was like a beautiful distraction, but it was, so to revisit it is gorgeous. And the title of my piece was Unearthing the Truth. And it starts with an ode to my Unbound sisters. And it was the first time for me where I'd actually really surrendered to being in circle with you beautiful females. So I think the whole process of last year just allowed me to be even more, you know, who I am, like showing up even here today, you know, with sunglasses on my head, just being natural, you know, that was part of what came out of the chapter for me. And yeah, just unearthing the truth of, as Diane is saying, of what the earth needs, of what were we being taught, what could we take from that experience. And so the reflection for me now, kind of coming here, so much has changed, so much. And the way that I introduce myself now, you know, kind of like from a light worker to a light leader to a light translator, somebody who is here to translate the light, to amplify human experience. Like even that is just incredible, from having written this idea of unearthing the truth, unearthing my truth, and unearthing, hopefully for the people that have read it, those realizations of being more natural is healthy. Being natural is healthy. Being who you are is healthy, which is kind of one of my main messages in what I believe and talk about.
Gorgeous. Thanks, Natalie. And you're in Spain?
I am in Spain. Yeah, it is very hot.
Summer
has arrived. Summer arrived on Monday. So there was some beautiful, magical feelings on Monday.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good. And I love what you say, and it kind of sounds like it's the same for everyone, like the piece that you wrote, like the magic of it and the impact of it, like continue to ripple out. I think this happens, like whether it's a book or a piece, a chapter within a book, like it evolves even once it's out in the world, both for us as the individuals who've written the piece, but also you know, and the way our readers experience it. It's like so magical.
And for me as well, it was the first published piece. So yeah, it's interesting to think that people are reading it, and I've had so many comments back from friends, you know, on all the chapters. It's just, yeah, it's been a gorgeous experience.
Wonderful. Thanks, Natalie. Thank you. And Diana, you made it. Yay.
Finally, I have a new setup here.
I love it.
Thank you.
Got a microphone there. Very impressive.
Yeah, so up leveling a little bit. And then my painting here, she's like, why has my face not been in all these videos you've been doing with Unbound? And so I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. So here she is.
Fantastic. I'm loving your setup.
Yeah. I love the overlap of all of our stories and our energies and how we're so different, but yet as you were all talking, I was writing down correlations that I found. And so my piece was alchemize, revolutionize, which I feel is my main message. It's going inward, really deep as we can go within ourselves, and finding that spark and that magic so that we can then amplify that out. And I think, you know, we've all got that here, and that's why I love this group. And this was the first time I really shared anything about having visions, you know, as I call them. Like, it was the first time I outed myself as being someone who did that. So and so sharing that experience of 2011 was relevant now because it's 10 years later. And what I was seeing then is definitely now coming true, with the divide, with fear and love, and the choices that people have, and watching that as we're also coming back into balance with Gaia. And so I'm loving just all the energy that's been happening. For me, when it happened in March 2020, I was so happy because I needed to cocoon. That was another word I wrote down. It was like cocooning time. And I'd wanted that for years and just hadn't had that opportunity. And so for me, it was about just going really deep inside myself. And so then my piece ended up being notes I had written to myself to keep myself, like, how I processed everything and how I lifted myself up, you know. And I love not having to be anywhere and not having to commit to anything, and just totally shutting out everything else and focusing on my own creativity and my own divinity and what that meant to me. And it was really hard to share. It's really hard to even make myself enter the contest. You know, your brain says, oh, you know, you're not going to win that, or what could you write about that would help people? But then I found that all these notes to myself were notes to everybody. They were notes to all of us. They're notes to our hearts. And so I felt like 2020 was freedom restored. It was like and a coming home, and a way to finally bring together everything that I've held so close to me, and then realizing that the real power is in sharing. And so it's been a time of setting myself free, and then I hope to start setting others free in that process.
Amazing. Oh, beautiful. Notes to ourselves, notes to everyone. Yeah. And I think that's really powerful for people to hear, because I hear this over and over again, like with writing, and I've experienced it myself, this idea that, oh, but who would want to read what I have to share? Who would want to kind of hear my story or what I have to offer? And it's like if you feel that call, like it's for everybody. There's people out there who want to hear it. So I'm so grateful that you trusted that, Diana, and
me too. It's changed my life. Absolutely. Thank you.
So exciting. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you all. And Sue Sutherland, her piece actually won a publishing package with the Unbound Press. She is going to be joining us a bit later as well, hopefully. So that will be wonderful for Sue to be with us. So let's take some time and share some of the pieces. We've been talking about the different chapters that you wrote in 2020 Vision, and I would love to invite those of you who wish to share a section of your piece for us. So I'm going to go in the order that I just spoke to each of you, the order that you are on my screen. So Bria, would you like to go first? Thank you.
Okay, so my piece was called Reclaiming the True Nature of Who You Are. The land I live on is deeply nurturing and nourishing. I feel my ancestors in the land. There is magic and wisdom here, which roots me and grounds me, and at the same time connects me to spirit, through the elements, through the birds and the bees, the trees and the stream, the sky, the moon and the stars. The land helped me to hear the quietening of the world, to feel the collective slowing and stopping. Within that spaciousness, I heard the whispering of my ancestors. We are here. We are holding you. So I spent my days in conversation with the land, listening to her wisdom, being reminded of why I had chosen to be here. And because we could not work, Rob, my husband, and I had space and time together to revisit the vision and dreams we had brought with us when we moved from the city. We planted new crops for food in the polytunnel together. The woodland we had planted together, we were now coppicing together. We had more time to play, to dance, to talk, and just to be. And when grief or anger or fear nudged us, we looked at it and shared our thoughts and feelings with each other. On these days, I felt blissful. The days became weeks in which I found great joy. Through being in alignment with the rhythm of nature, I became excited and hopeful for a new world to be birthed. I rejoiced for nature while she rested and healed from the greed and destruction of human behaviours. There was, too, the polar opposite of this, stepping out of alignment and into the vibration of fear, as we were told death tolls were rising and no sight of restrictions being lifted. I chose not to listen constantly to the news, something I had allowed myself to be sucked into in the early days of lockdown. I listened less and less, and then not at all, having felt anger rise whenever I had, ending always with me shouting at the radio. It felt unhealthy, pointless, and submissive to listen to what I increasingly believed to be distorted truths at best and blatant lies at worst from the people controlling us. There were days when I felt utter despair. My body, heart, and soul ached for those people living with abuse, with hunger, with violence, trapped in their homes, no access to support and no way out. The question I kept returning to was, how do we change this? And what part do I need to play in creating the change? As we each witness the world falling further and further away from love and relationship as a result of being isolated from one another, forbidden to touch one another, left to die alone, children separated from parents, access to healthcare and to earning a living eradicated, the layers of grief I felt manifested into the physical. I had been feeling some discomfort in my left breast for many months. I realised just recently it had in fact been since March, when we went into lockdown. I became fearful that I had breast cancer, and having learnt from past disease in my body, I understood that my heart space, the centre of how we feel and express love and relationship, was giving me a message to pay attention, to be curious about, to have the courage to look at what was going on. The thought of maybe having cancer was inviting me to look at death, my own and the death of the world as we know it. I had no desire to die at this time, but I felt surprisingly calm thinking about it. I honestly thought, if this is my time to go, so be it. What my body guided me to do was to stay in connection with my heart space, to stay in connection with my intuition, to stay grounded in connection with Mother Earth, and in so doing, follow the thread of my ancestral wisdoms, the voice of the feminine rising, the call to raising the vibration of love in the world through healing the patriarchal wounding. And so, within that container, I began to sit in ease with both the known and the unknown.
Beautiful. It sounds like a different piece. It's so interesting because I've read that piece so many times. But to hear you speak the words, it always amazes me how different it feels. And absolutely beautiful. How do you feel like after reading the piece and about the piece now, like, you know, so many months on from writing it?
It felt very emotional. When I read the piece earlier today, really. And it was that part of it, because they're quite different, the beginning and that part. And it made me feel very emotional. And it also reminded me that I had this wonderful conversation with Daine at the time about my fear of what was going on in my breast, and that conversation, that sisterhood, and that, you know, friendship that's been created around this community. And so it brought all of that back, and just reminded me how important this connection had been throughout that whole year. Because as much as I had those moments of bliss, I also had a lot of grief around not being in relationship with people face to face. So it was interesting to read it again and be reminded of that, because it does feel like so long ago, and so much has changed very recently for me. You know, things, it feels like I feel for the first time in ages really alive and really so excited about what, you know, we're all trying to create, what we're all trying to change. You know, there is such a beautiful kinship and soul connection, and I feel really optimistic.
Wonderful. In a way that you didn't feel when you were writing the piece?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think because where I live, I am so deeply connected to nature and to Mother Earth, and I know whatever we do, you know, Mother Earth she'll reboot, she'll come back. I know, you know, what has been done to her and what continues to be done to her is beyond belief, and it breaks my heart, but she will survive. And I think, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that the more of us that can connect to Mother Earth, as a number of us have said already, that's what gives me hope. That we can move away. And I think somebody else said, you know, why do we go back to what it was? No.
Yeah.
We have to move forward. We have to. And for me, it's Mother Earth. That's going to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Brea. Thank you. And I think it was Daine who actually spoke about, you know, that the idea of returning to normal and how that's the last thing that we need. So that kind of segues quite nicely to Daine, if you would like to. Daine wasn't planning to read a part of her piece, but
and see how it came about in the moment.
Exactly, and, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I've chosen a bit that I definitely will not be long. And just to say, Brea, when you were speaking, I got fantastic tingles all around the left side of my skull, which was like really, yeah. And I love your voice. So meditative, so beautiful. don't know what my voice is going to be like, so we'll find out, I guess. In which case, I am saying that we are looking at the shape-shifting of the normal to the way things have always been underneath, to what supports us, below that which we subscribe to, below what we invest in, to the mother in our underworld, deep in the center, giving the heart of the world a little squeeze, just strong enough to be felt by everyone. Little, that is, until she needs to squeeze a little harder. Yes, needs, because our normal is destroying itself. And our Gaia, like a massive catapulting, thrashing path clearer through delicate leaf branch, all the channels of life itself, by dumping its consequences all over this sacred ground. The beautiful, sacred, nourishing, sensitive ground that is actually our own selves in earthen form. And all of this is crisscrossed and wound about with our very own unconscious lines of desire. And can we see what we are seeing here? These lines we walk and where we talk and where we want to play and love, by dumping this unexamined yet normalized cruelty all through the etheric web of what is feelingly real, which is this reality of our own life force, flowing, responsive, and miraculous. So knowing of what is consciously evolved and interconnected. Do we trust it? This exhausting denying normal of fast this and fast that, accessible this and accessible that, this normal of covetable this and covetable that, fostering only lack, this normal that we all take refuge in. We want things to go back to normal, do we? Shoveling our eyes and ears and tongues into the funnels of paved over coercive civilizations, swallowing whatever we are presented with, completely unconnected to the rhythms of life. Normal, making us want to consume it more, eat all the pain of what we are doing away somehow through the numbing wheels of addiction and overdoing into feeling nothing, no flow. This is the normal that Gaia will squeeze when she needs to. Need, and all of this and that, worshipped as a godlike shadow sitting astride our attention, riding our minds while casting the biggest pool of suffocating dark in the whole of time and space across our very souls. Not them over their souls, our souls, because it's just us Gaians here. And we are the ones who keep turning away from this truth, ploughing on in the furrows of our shortest, fastest routes to nowhere, slowly eroding the gift of the land and eating numbly into the edges of the sacred matrix that gives us our life. The hunger for attainment is ruling everything, but it is a false and wasteful way to use our attention when all is choked up around us, by us, and through us, creating more waste than we can safely and respectfully process right through the spectrum, from material to psychological to spiritual. It's throttling the whole of creation and ruling these dysfunctional, wounding systems with distracted robotic attention, so that this in turn ends up ruling us, causes institutionalized murder, slavery, and repression. Yes, well, we need to mention these death words because these are the forces that fuel this desecration of life on our mother, Gaia. I don't know how long that was, but hopefully that's...
It doesn't matter. It's unbound, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was pretty spot on, to be honest. But that was so powerful to hear you speak those words again. It gives a whole other dimension to the piece for me. That was my experience of hearing it.
Yeah.
What was it like for you to read it?
It's the same. It gives it another dimension because I sort of could re-feel the passion with which I was writing, and then I'm kind of it's almost like not my words anymore, and it's like there's just this message or somehow this kind of energy. yeah, so it's and it's great because for ages I couldn't even read it in the book.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't revisit it because I couldn't remember what I'd done, and because it's the first time really that I've ever done anything sort of out there. So I had all my voices, my negative voices were like going la 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 la, you know. Yeah.
So did you read the other pieces but just not read yours, or did you just not look at the book?
Well, I didn't look at the book for at least a month, and then I started
Wow.
reading the pieces. Yeah, I just couldn't, and I knew that it was going to be like that because that's how I've been about coming to this form of creative expression for so long, and that's why, you know, I've joined Unbound, and it's just completely turned everything around. Just the interconnectedness of us all, and because it's something that is below, it's kind of below the cognitive part, you know. It's those underworld rhythms, like accessing them and letting them come up, and then letting them speak and letting them come up. It's just completely, it's what I knew was there, but I couldn't get there. But with this, over the months, I've been able to access that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Underworld rhythms. I love that. Oh, well, how amazing, Dino, that, you know, you've gone from that place of not even being able to look at your piece in the book, or not even be able to look at the book at all, to actually be speaking it and sharing it here in such a powerful way.
And it's great because I feel completely relaxed and okay. I just feel like myself now. There's no like big gap. It's just all come together.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that piece. Wow. I'm so going to have to go back and reread the book again now once we've had this gathering this evening. Oh, thanks, Dino. Holly, would you like to read a piece of your chapter? Wonderful.
So mine was called A Hope for Humanity, and a coach friend of mine says that we need to have hope if we want to create anything, whether that's something new or transformation. And it's really, this part talks about a process that I think we all go through with our wounds. The first stage is being stuck in powerlessness and shame and constricting emotions, and the first stage is wounding, second stage is being stuck in the powerlessness, and the third stage is realizing that you have a choice to accept yourself first and connect with yourself. So I invite you to kind of listen with that in mind for the universal parts of this. So get emotional every time I read this. So, in the light of pure love, life becomes a work of art, living life from the heart. I see now that the pain has been a gift. You see, I was initiated far too young. It came as a shock. I was unprepared, and I didn't expect it. I didn't understand what it was about. I didn't even have the words to describe it. It was done at the wrong time, by the wrong person, in the wrong way, with the wrong intent, on the wrong person. It was sexual abuse. Stage 1 began. I was separated. I was isolated. I was alone, cut off. The trust was betrayed. The world made no sense. The initiation had begun. The prolonged ordeal left its invisible scars long after the act. My solitary journey was now in phase 2. I was in pain. I was terrified. There was no safe container of elders to support me, no watchful eyes to keep me safe. There was no end in sight. And I thought I would remain in separation forever, always being ashamed of myself. The unwelcome touch had left my spirit separated from my body. No safety hatch, no guidance, pure confusion about how to be at peace with myself. It was a traumatic brush with death. My body was alive, but it was without spirit, like walking around empty, hollow, dazed. Stage 3 was supposed to come. No one told me I'd survived the ordeal and come out the other side a new being. No one mourned my sudden loss of childhood. No one recognised I was a changed person. No one welcomed me home as a valued member of the clan. And no one celebrated with me. Instead, the ordeal was kept secret. It lay in the shadows for nearly 30 years. And when it was brought to light, the clan rejected me. It was too painful, too unbearable. I was cast adrift in the shadows of what couldn't be faced. I was stuck between worlds. The horror had happened. There was no protective ceremony, no overseer of the process, and no welcoming back. There was no way for me to take my conscious place as a member of society. I was in limbo, unfinished, cycling between stage 1 and stage 2 with no way out. I longed with every molecule of my being to be accepted, to feel normal, to not be outcast and separate. 2020 has been about finding my tribe, the places where I'm welcomed, and making up my own ritual to complete stage 3.
Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you.
You're so welcome in this clan. I appreciate you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and it's a journey of accepting myself.
Mm.
I think it's the thing we all need most.
Yeah. Mm.
And I think that's how we heal the world, when we know how to heal ourselves first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so courageous of you to write that piece, you know, in the first place, to allow it to come through, or like you said, it was what wanted to come through, but to actually go, yeah, I'm going to share this, and then to read it for us now is like another layer of courageousness.
I'll tell you this, Nicola, I wrote it and I immediately sent it without even reading it, because I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't be brave enough.
Yeah.
And I never thought at the time about reading it, so I was terrified, and I thought, I've got to do this.
Amazing, amazing. Have you spoken it out loud before?
Yeah, I have.
Mm.
It's a very different experience to people that you're not already very, very close with, because it triggers other people. It triggers other people's wounds massively. And this is a wound that at least a quarter of the population have, at least. Which means, you know, friends have read it and almost broken down with me, you know. But there's a brilliance in that breaking down. There's a connection in it that we all need. And most people, despite our fears, for anyone that has been through this, do come to a place of understanding and acceptance. And you get that more for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can breathe now.
We're breathing with you.
Thank you. Can we take a collective sigh?
Let's do it. Everyone.
I kind of just like, whew.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What you said there about the brilliance in the breaking down. Yeah. Such a powerful line there. Thank you so much, Holly.
Thanks, Nicola.
Thank you. Natalie.
Yes, thank you to all for sharing, and as I said at the beginning, being here in this surrendering for me is Unbound Sisters. So thank you, Holly, for that. So I'm going to read from the beginning and we'll see where we go. Oh. So, unearthing the truth. Meet me at the gate, sister. Leave your shoes where they are and feel your flesh smile. Tread lightly toward me, sister, piercing gently through your shield, and surrender soft-heartedly. Sit down with me, sister, naked now with your truth, and passionately stir out that facade. Conjure with me, sister. Stoke your potent wildness and forgive the flames of fear. Let go with me, sister. Tend to those tamed wounds and revive them in all their glory. Float with me, sister, into the delicious, untamed edges, and let's play with magic. And an ode to my unbound sisters for believing in me, listening to me, and encouraging me to set alight the flame of my soul's purpose. Look into my eyes. There you will see the reflection of 100 souls dancing and moving freely to the beat of their hearts. Pure, unadulterated energy being released and witnessed for all to enjoy. Look closer, my friend, and you'll hear the warmth of raw flamenco tones wrapped in the rugged Andalusian hills. Welcome to my memory of January the 1st, 2020. My husband, Freedy, and I had chosen to celebrate the New Year at a festival held at Wakana Lakes, close to our home in southern Spain. We wanted to enter into 2020 eating good food, enjoying new experiences, and drinking in life under the stars, rather than waking up into the new year with the inevitable hangover. Wakana Rebirthing Festival allowed us space to reconnect and rejoice in the simplicity of nature. The weekend itinerary certainly pushed my spiritual boundaries, with ancient cacao ceremonies, ecstatic dancing, and sweat lodges up for the taking. I walked into the weekend with an open mind and body. Seeing the new year in with 12 beats on a shamanic drum and eating the traditional 12 uvas, grapes, surrounded by soulful people felt right. Yes, yes, yes. I could feel my body happy and grateful as I danced wildly in this celebration. Embracing our inner tribal instinct. As I recall this memory, the pure essence of being high on life is bringing me to tears. Being human is incredible, but we are flawed. We love to find the easy route, following like sheep flocking to fun rather than stepping up in the face of truth and embracing our inner tribal instinct. So many experiences in this life are shadowed with a dampening of our natural spirit. Society has taught us that to have a good time, we need to enhance our mood with drugs, drink, and sex. These enhancers can be okay when used in a loving way, yet they can tarnish the glow of our inner yearnings, hiding our flaws and imperfections, rolling in the shame of us. But what about if you allowed your natural hormones to do their thing? What if you raised your vibrations through a clear vessel until you were naturally bouncing on top of life? This is how I moved into 2020, free flowing.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel it. Oh, Natalie, that was so evocative, like talking about the festival. I really felt like I was there with you and Freedy and and intrigued. Like, obviously I know what happens next in your piece, but like you left it on a bit of a cliffhanger there. Yeah, exactly, to find out. How was that for you, reading that piece or the beginning of it?
Yeah, reliving that experience, but just really the power, and I suppose coming from Holly's piece into that, you know, that invitation to sit together, to really be in our truth, to feel that safe within you know, within that space. So yeah, it feels really, I just feel very, I almost feel enlightened. I feel honored to be in this space. Yeah, what do I really feel? What am I really touched? To have used the year in the way to dig deep that I did, to write the book, to come to the calling, to rise above, and I talk a lot about rising above, and you know, to follow my own path, and I go on later on to talk about, you know, which road did you choose, you know, and was it the fear road or was it your own road or something like that, you know. And yeah, and the power, just the power in all these words. This is what's really coming to me in the collective sense, is the power. Yes, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think really also, like in retrospect, thinking, why did we choose that year to sit under the stars? Why did we choose that year to go through all that ceremony? And it was almost like we were being told that something was going to happen. We were preparing ourselves for it.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah.
I think many of us felt like that at the beginning of 2020. There was this sense of something's going to happen. Little did we know.
Because we sat around, you know, in that ceremony giving all of our hopes and wishes for 2020, and then it changed so much, and it didn't change at all in some ways.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you. Diana.
Okay, hello. I was feeling into this before our call, and the end wanted to be read. So we are starting here. That's called Alchemize, Revolutionize. But this is my favorite part to reread. So I thought it would be fun to read this part out loud. For so many years, I felt like I was living on a parallel track to my real life, longing to jump over. It was frustrating and maddening that this other life was possible, and that for whatever reason, I could not get there. 2020 was the year that I finally jumped from one track to the other. It is so freeing, letting go of it all. That is all we have to do. As we awaken to our light, all darkness begins to disappear. Think of yourself as pliable. You can rearrange yourself a little and adjust as necessary. This goes for your physical body and your energy body. Every aspect of ourselves can be tweaked or changed with conscious effort. What happens when you believe that all things are possible? The truth of what you know is clouded in judgment. The truth of who you are is never changing. What I have learned is that my gifts are brought forth by flow, by being my own unique energetic imprint, by sharing my heart, by giving what I can, by trusting that all is well and I am divinely cared for in every moment. What gets me going is chasing the feeling of being so alive, so on fire in my heart, being as turned on as I possibly can in each moment, and doing a check-in with my heart center. How much juicier can this moment get? Once you have the feeling of being so incredibly turned on by every aspect of your life, every minute bringing with it the possibility of an exciting new adventure, you can begin to become the sorceress of your own life, the one you were born to become. The fruition of my dream visions from the past 5 to 10 years are all coming together now in a beautiful sweeping wave. I'm connecting on deeper levels with others because I've further deepened my connection with myself. In developing new inner dialogue with my body, it has also been transforming. I have conversations with my body and ask what it requires. As we up level, we need better fuels. I enjoy watching how my body responds to acknowledging it in a loving way and what it feels like to elongate and release. My partner and I have grown more into our love, and we have moved into a house in the country that feels like home. This year has also brought along the elements needed to create my dream job. I now spend my work time doing all of the creative things that I love to do. I had written in a notebook at one point, when being at home within yourself feels so good that you don't want any outside stimulus, there's no room for anything outside of loving yourself, because loving all of yourself is to love all of others as they are in their perfection, as they exist and are meant to exist, and receiving the same in return. And that has been the space I've purposely chosen to swim in. In any moment that we are present and actively choosing love, we are living our gift. Nature is not fragile. She is a force, just like you. Let's join together in dancing on the mountaintops of our own pleasure, singing in the streets we have forged with our own desires. What the spirit of the feminine is asking now. Give a voice to the parts that reach up and out and tend to pull back, the parts that have never gotten to be heard, the parts that are tired, and the parts that feel small. Use this voice to fuel you. From the purest depths of my heart, I call out to those who also feel the fire, the unyielding feminine energy rising to heal the people and the planet. This is a summoning. Let her run wild. Let them whisper as she soars past. Let her scream. Let her discover the ancient sound of her own voice. Let her be naked. Let her revel in the power of her own aliveness. Let her take up space. Let her echo off the walls and proudly show herself off. Let her soften and flow. Let her know peace and the strength of her own being. Let her be. Let her be you. She is the way through the journey, and she is inviting you to play.
Oh, Diana, that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. It felt like you had a lot of fun reading that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I did. I really did have a lot of fun.
yeah. What was it like to revisit that piece and to actually speak it out loud here?
It's really energizing. It's just in sharing my stories the last 6 months, it has been a blooming, a blossoming, a rebirthing, a emerging from the cocoon as a butterfly. And it's all been because of writing my words down and then choosing to share them. And so that's just so close to my heart now that I want to inspire everyone to go deep into their own stories and find all the gems in there, because there's so many. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, to go deep into our own stories. I love that. Oh. Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. And Holly's put, when are we recording the audio book? There definitely needs to be an audio book. Like, this has proved it. Everyone's nodding. Okay, we will make that happen. Oh, and Sue has joined us. Welcome, Sue. Sue Sutherland.
Hello.
Hello. I'm glad you could make it.
I am too. I've been in a 3-hour workshop, but it was great coming in
Oh,
and hearing Diana.
amazing, amazing. So, like, everyone introduce themselves at the beginning, Sue. So do you want to do that before you read your piece that you've selected, whichever piece that is?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about...
A bit blind.
No, just let us know a little bit about who you are and, like, what inspired you to write your piece for 2020 Vision.
Well, who am I?
Who are you?
Well, I am an unapologetic baby crone. And and I'm going to be half a century old in September, and I am just not doing it anymore. And so it was really interesting. I've been doing morning pages for yonks, absolutely yonks. And what I started to do last year was I started speaking into my microphone because I got really lazy. I couldn't be bothered to write them. So and so the act of speaking into my microphone and my laptop, taking those words and usually messing them up, it just was really healing. So when it came to doing what to write, I was like, well, I've got it. And so it became the solo self-isolation diaries. In terms of what I do, I am at heart, I'm an educator around sexuality, gender, relationships, diversity. I love shadow. I love digging into trauma. I've just been on a Wheel of Consent facilitation course that I'm in the weeds and I love it. And my main thing is I want people to feel less alone with who they are on the inside. I think it's really important to help people bring those horrible monsters and those lies that entrap us in our thoughts and our bodies out, so that they can integrate life in themselves. And yeah, so that's my thing: educating and creating and writing.
Definitely writing.
Who's telling?
Definitely. And I'm really intrigued to discover the piece that you're going to read, because Sue and I was actually speaking earlier, and you well, at the time you kind of thought you knew which piece, but then well, let's see.
Okay, so it's not that one. So basically, understand what I wrote was selected excerpts from a diary. And I thought I was gonna, but the one I thought I was gonna say, I think needs to be said, but it's not today, because do you know what? I want to start manifesting what I want for a change. So I've picked ones that are calling out to what I would like to bring in.
Love that.
And see if that speaks to other people too. So there's 2 entries. Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have a little sip of water.
I might as well.
Okay. 10th of July. What am I hungry for? I am hungry for the body, mind, and heart of a giant being. A being with shoulders I have to reach up to touch. Shoulders I can hang myself off. A body that I can climb over. One that can envelop me and make me feel small. I need to feel the strength and stature of presence. My personal climbing frame, my personal protector. One I can physically lean against. Someone I can hide myself in, to lie on, to sniff, snuggle, stretch and purr with. I want to purr. I want to bring out my feline. Who am I kidding? It's not a pet. It's a fucking wolf. A masquerading, shape-shifting she-wolf. I want to smell man. There is a smell of man that I rarely get to smell these days. Too often I smell fragrances designed for men rather than the smell of a man. I want to smell skin. I want to smell a body. I'm going to skip past July. We're going to look at August. 17th of August. I'm not buying into this game anymore. I want to feel my feet on the ground and walk out on the land. Get my hands in the dirt and stand sky-clad under the moonlight. To make fire and welcome in the remembering. To feel my sex. To be a witch. To be a madam to my sexuality. I want to salivate. To feed and dance, to smile for the very virtue of being alive, for being right here, right now, the magnificence of the moment. I want to cry with joy when I look at the people around me, realizing I'm home, knowing I am part of something, to pass something on that supports, drives, lives, and loves. We can have this if we start telling the truth.
Yes.
I'd love to read more of it, but I just, I want that for all of us.
Yeah. Hell yes. Oh, so I know. I felt with everybody, like we could just do like an all-day session and everyone read.
I did realize there's 2 more sentences that will be actually beautiful right now.
Go for it.
It's the last 2 sentences. Because basically I decide to leave London. And then 6th of October, I live in a barn on a farm in a village with a telephone box instead of a shop. Anything could happen.
Oh,
thanks for letting me indulge that part.
So much fun. I mean, what's it like for you to revisit that piece and to speak some of the words out loud here with us now?
It's amazing. I really want to do spoken word. Like, I haven't done much with this. I've been in the woods. I've been in the dark, and I really want to stand with a microphone and say this and to let it be felt.
Yeah.
Even if it's to go, I don't bloody agree, but I believe this. I just want it to be like, I want to disrupt, actually, but say it softly. And I love to be able to speak it out.
Yeah. yeah, it takes on, I was saying this earlier, it's like the pieces are completely different when they're spoken out loud. It's almost like I've read each of the pieces so many times, and this has been such a different experience to hear them spoken by the person who wrote them. So powerful. And what you said there, Sue, it's like, you know, I haven't done much with this, and I think sometimes that can be the case with our writing or our books, and it's like, oh, I've missed the moment, you know. But actually our words have, well, they have a life of their own, and they have a long lifetime, and we can play with them, you know, even when they've been out in the world for a period of time, for months, years, come back to them and they take on a new life when we engage with them in a different way. So thank
Hearing
you.
And I think all of our words are standing stones.
Yeah, I love thinking about them like that. Yeah, and it's like they radiate out magic, just complete magic. So we've got, thank you, Sue. We've got like around 10 minutes left before the end of this gathering. So I'd love to invite each of you to share just some closing thoughts, like how has it been to come together like this and to like revisit your own piece and to hear others speaking their piece. Shall I do it in the order that we went at the beginning? That's okay. So Brea.
Thought you might flip it around a bit then, Nicola, but never mind.
No.
Oh my goodness, what a gift it is to be in this community, and such an honor to hear each of your pieces. You know, I've cried and I've laughed and I've vibrated and I've been, you know, provoked in thought, and so yeah, we really must do some sort of spoken, I don't know, hire out a theatre somewhere and yeah,
Take it on the road.
yeah. That. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I need to say.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brea. Thank you. Dino.
I just feel like that we're just planting magic seeds, and each one we're creating this lovely fertile ground, and each one of us is coming at it from maybe slightly different angle or whatever, but it's really growing, and I especially like it because I can feel it growing inside of me, and I can just feel the interaction and the interconnectedness of it all, of everybody's truths, feeding mine and supporting mine, and then that just does feel magic. It really does, and especially around expression and you know, getting our messages out there, and that's just lovely. So I really enjoyed this. It's brilliant. Thanks. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Dino. Holly.
Yeah, I just love you all. I haven't really got any more to say. I think we're all talking to the same truths, and it's just brilliant. Brilliant to be around so many people doing that, and the power of our collective voices together, that real true coming together, just it's so powerful to hear everyone's voices this evening. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. Thank you. yeah, all these different layers. And, you know, that's what the book was always meant to be, these, you know, the different perspectives. But there's so many themes that have come through during this gathering, like collective themes. Thanks, Holly. Mariah.
Yeah, thank you. I only came on this literally about an hour beforehand, so I'm really glad I did. And it's going to sound a bit corny, this, but I can feel it's like this warm glow around my face, and it just struck me like sitting in front of a campfire, reading our stories. That's what I suddenly got at the end. It's like this beautiful, and it's not a heat. I can't really describe it. It's like this magical glow. But you know, hearing everyone, hearing you all speak it out loud is so magical. I've read the book. I didn't go back and read my piece, but I did read almost all the other pieces. It took me a while to pick up and read my piece. And I don't think I've ever read mine fully out loud. But it did inspire me to go and do that maybe tomorrow or Friday. And the other thing, it's I think it's called Homecoming or Coming Home.
Your piece. It's called Homecoming.
Yeah,
I think you can't remember what your own piece is.
I knew it had home in it because
it's called Homecoming.
It's called Homecoming. I thought it was, yeah. And that's been such a major piece in my life, you know, coming home. Whenever I did a shamanic journey, it's like, where are we going? Are we going home? Okay. So it's another way of describing what we're all doing. I think all of us are coming home in different ways. But actually, it just struck me as I was feeling that glow that this is home. So this community, again, it's going to sound a bit corny, but this community is home to me. You know, however I'm feeling, I show up most of the time. I think I've missed one or two in months, 6 months. But it feels like home. I know that I'm in the right place, and I know that my book's in the right place.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mariah. Oh,
definitely an audio book. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's come through very clearly. So yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Like, 'cause I know you weren't sure whether you could make it, so it's amazing that you could. Thanks. Natalie.
So there's only one word, and it's your word that you use all the time. Potent.
Yeah.
everything everyone else has said, and potent. And yes, please, to a theatre and going on tour and reading these out loud, because I think it's what the world needs to hear. I think it's what women need to hear. They need to see real. They need to feel real. And I think this is what we all represent, but it's not that we just represent it, we are it. And that's where the power comes.
Potent. Yeah. Love it. Thanks, Natalie.
I'll definitely come back to England for that.
Yeah. That'd be worth coming back for. Diana can fly over as well. and we'll go over to the States. Oh, Diana.
Oh, I would love that. Have you all over. As I was looking at you all, I just wrote down these words: truth, nature, heart, flow, healing, wonder, joy. And I just feel so much love for all of you that we can share in this beautiful space. You know, so amazing hearing all of you speak your pieces, and to speak mine out loud, it's like so vibraty. And that's how I feel right now, just vibrating. Thank you all so much. This was really, really lovely. Love you.
Oh, thanks, Diana. Yeah, I'm so glad that you managed to get on.
Yeah,
Zoom let you in.
Yeah, finally. Maybe now there won't be any more problems.
Yeah, we're going to go smoothly from now on. Brilliant. Thanks, Diana. And Sue, I know you only kind of came on for the finale.
I'm looking forward to, I actually want to go back and hear yours.
Yeah.
It's really, it's fascinating. I'm really ready. I need community. After doing my solitude stuff, I'm really needing this community. I'm needing community, and it's interesting. When I do come on here, I feel it. I feel this, and so I'd like to participate more. Yeah, I'd like us to actually gather around the fire.
Yeah.
I'd really like that. I'd like this. Yeah, I'd like to be more in and pull more people in.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Right.
Definitely make that happen.
It feels like we are in manifesting.
Yeah.
I think let's bring in what we want and make it happen, because we can.
Yeah.
We will. And so let's do it.
Yeah.
And I just want to also say, Nicola, seriously, well done for just like making this actually happen, like actually making this a reality. Like, it's a real book.
No.
Like, well done. I think it was like, seriously, just well done. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was so so tempted then just to brush that away and say, oh no, and obviously I know. Oh yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. And well, it's just been such a joy. It's been such a joy to come back to 2020 Vision with you all this evening, this afternoon for Diana, and to really recognize that I know that books have a lifetime. They have a life of their own once they go out into the world, but it really feels like that's been demonstrated during this gathering, and that's ongoing and evolving, and who knows where it will take us next. But yeah, I'm so grateful to you all for being part of it and for being part of this gathering today. For those who've been watching or watching the recording, let us know what your experience was, and what resonated for you, what sparked off for you. We'd love it to be an ongoing conversation. And I'm sure there will be more emerging from 2020 Vision if this session is anything to be going by. So yeah, to be continued. All right, my loves, we will leave it there. Thank you all so much. You're all so magical. And yeah, like I said, look forward to seeing what's next. Bye, everyone.